let us get started then. How was your meditation in the last week, Carol?
Oh, well, I didn't do every day, but when I did, it was quite good. So I would give that a plus.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Doug?
Well, the best I can say is I had a really good meditation yesterday.
Okay.
The rest of the week, it was just kind of full of distractions, and my mind is like a baby when it sees a puppy when a distraction comes down the road.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And so that was the rest of the week. But yesterday I had afterwards I felt really good,
That's good.
Isn't
almost
it,
high.
isn't it cool that you can like not do it for a while, but then when you go back to it, you're, right there with it.
It's right
that's really
there.
cool.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm. Anyway, that's good. And today, maybe we will talk about things relative to that mind in its puppy.
Okay, good.
Okay. So let us get started. Excuse me while I get some of my stuff ready. Okay, I'm still okay. So here we go. Mindfulness is present moment awareness, paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, fully receive whatever experience, then let it go.
Hello. Hey, hi, how are you? Finally, better. I don't know, it's been really a long time, and I am so sorry that I haven't gotten back to you regarding that photo to Nam trip.
All right. Hello there, Richard.
Hi, Richard. Hi, Doug.
Hello, Richard. Well, looks like we lost one and gained one.
Now, today we'll talk about the mind. What is the nature of the mind? To start with, there's a word that we need to know, noumenon. A noumenon is a mental object that exists independently of the senses. A noumenon is a mental idea. What reality might be based on ideas and assumptions and extrapolations and habits. It's something imagined. Your idea of yourself is one such noumenon. You think it's true, even though you can't find yourself through any of your senses. Your idea of who you are is just an imagined mental object. If you look closely, you'll find that the mind is filled with these mental objects. Even the world that is known by the senses is an imperfect mental object, not the thing itself. So what's known by the mind is not reality. It's imagination plus imperfect sensory impressions modified by your habits and conditioning. You think this is what's real, but it's only the mind's mental model of reality. The mind organizes itself around one idea, the I idea, the idea of being an individual separate from everything else. So all your thoughts are in some ways centered around this I thought. But this I thought is really just an assumed reality, one that is usually not challenged or investigated. This, excuse me, this assumption is not reality. You exist and are aware even without this idea. This I thought is unreal, yet it is at the base of everything in the mind. It's the context in which the mind organizes itself. And it's not real. It's just the mind's assumption. If you carefully investigate, you'll not be able to find this I anywhere within the mind or the body. You can find the organic parts of the brain, but can't find this I anywhere specific. So this I thought is an idea within another idea, your idea of the world in relation to you. It's not real. When you start with unreality, can you get to reality from there? There must be some other way to find reality. This spurs spiritual investigation and practice. Spiritual practice starts to show you your mind, its restlessness, cravings, and imaginings projected within your experiences. And you start to see that they carry with them a discontent. Nothing is ever enough. There is always something else. All of this is just mental restlessness. You can start to see that the mind is in the way, that the mind can interfere with your well being. Can't I quiet the mind? You ask. Spiritual practice can be said to be eliminating the mind and developing intuition in its stead. When I am not following the mind's ideas, then I'm relying on intuition. Intuition is a good word for the non-cognitive understanding you find within yourself when you're not listening to the commentary of the mind. The first stage of meditation is really the elimination of the mind. The mind is restless, but you can train it to pay attention. Where this starts is with caring less about the world and what happens in the world. This is called dispassion. My teacher, Nomi, tells us a great way to establish this dispassion is to deeply know that the happiness you seek from external objects and people really rises up from within yourself. We all want happiness, so when you know the source of happiness is from within, instead of looking for it in the world, you start to look within for happiness. Now, here are some things that are important to the mind for meditation and spiritual practice. Give it peace. Make it free from distraction. Train it to look inward. Make this a habit. This is what we do each week in these sessions. This is what I encourage each of you to do. This is vital preparation for deep meditation. In life, success is the result of preparation. How important to you is freedom from what seems to limit you? How important is your everyday happiness? If it's important enough, you'll do what is needed to prepare. This leads to well-being and a happy life. Now we'll watch a short video on the mind from Alan Watts.
So then let's consider first of all, what is a mind in the grip of vicious circles? Well, one of the most obvious instances that we all know is the phenomenon of worry. The doctor tells you that you have to have an operation. And that has been set up so that automatically everybody worries about it. But since worrying takes away your appetite and your sleep, it's not good for you. But you can't stop worrying, and therefore you get additionally worried that you are worrying. And then, furthermore, because that is quite absurd and you're mad at yourself because you do it, You are worried because you worry because you worry. That is a vicious circle. So now, can you allow your mind to be quiet? Isn't it difficult? Because the mind seems to be like a monkey, jumping up and down and jabbering all the time. Once you've learned to think, you can't stop. And an enormous number of people devote their lives to keeping their minds busy and feel extremely uncomfortable with silence. When you're alone, nobody's saying anything, there's nothing to do. There's this worry, this lack of distraction. I'm left alone with myself, and I want to get away from myself. I'm always wanting to get away from myself. That's why I go to the movies, that's why I read mystery stories, that's why I go after girls or anything that you do, or get drunk or whatever. I don't want to be with myself. I feel queer. So, well, why do you want to run away from yourself? What's so bad about it? Why do you want to forget this? Why do you want to become yourself? Because you are addicted to thoughts. This is a drug, a real dangerous one. Compulsive thinking, going on and on and on and on and on all the time. It's a habit. So there's a difficulty about stopping that activity. And you really have to stop it if you want to be sane. Because if I talk all the time, I don't hear what anyone else has to say. Then I'll end up in the situation of having nothing to talk about but my own talking. Or so in exactly the same way, if I think all the time, I won't have anything to think about except thoughts. So in order to have something to think about, there are times when you simply must stop thinking. Well, how do you do that? The first rule is don't try to. Because if you do, you will be like someone trying to make rough water smooth with a flat iron. And all that will do will stir it up. So in the same way as a muddy, turbulent pool quiets itself when left alone, you have to know how to leave your mind alone. It will quiet itself.
All right. Now let's take a few minutes.
So then let's consider first of all,
Okay, and meditate ourselves, settle in, feel your breath. Notice who within you knows this flow of breath. The witness that just knows without being involved. Just look within yourself. Where does happiness come from? Is it from things or people or events? Or is it from within you? Have you ever had a time when you were just happy without cause? Where does this happiness come from? Now feel the peace and the quiet and the silence that is within you. All right. And let's close with a short chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. All right. Any questions or comments?
I love Alan Watts.
Uh-huh.
So do I.
This was actually a pretty advanced talk as these things go.
We're advanced, so it's okay.
That's right. That's what I thought. And one thing that for me stimulated this talk is in my own meditation, as I've talked about a little bit, one of the things that I'm particularly noticing is the mind and all of the tricks that it plays, or at least some of the tricks that it plays.
Yeah, it's worth
Well-
noticing. And the mind can whisper so soft to try and hide it.
Mm-hmm.
The mind seems to resent being still.
Absolutely.
And it's like, just personally, I like to be busy. I like to do stuff. I like to
Mm-hmm.
do things. And so there's something in my mind that if I have something to do, then that takes priority over the meditation,
Mm-hmm.
even though what I'm doing can be just, nothing really useful,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of busy work.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the mind is pretty sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it feels like it really achieved something.
Well, like you, Doug, I share the desire to just do something. And I've had to struggle with that pretty much all my life. For a long time, I didn't know it was a struggle. I thought it was fun. Now, part of another thing that encouraged this session was something that I had read from Ramana Maharshi in a book, Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. And it was about the mind. And Ramana said basically that to have success quieting the mind, you need this dispassion. You need to kind of turn down how much you care about all of this stuff in the world and turn up how much you care about what's going on inside of you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's still hard to do. My being the doer is my biggest misidentification, thinking I'm the one that does all this stuff and somehow it's going to make me happy. But it turns out
Well, you're doing these get-togethers and you're making us all happy.
that's right. This, it's I'm trying to fool the mind by doing something useful. Now there's a Indian metaphor about an elephant in its trunk that sometimes shows up in these discussions in India. The elephant, if you just leave it alone, its trunk will just wave and do whatever it's doing. But if you give it something to carry with its trunk will just settle down. And I think some of that is what mindfulness is like. You're giving your mind something to do that's going to end up making it more peaceful instead of agitated, but it's got something to do, so it's happy. Okay, well, good session, and
Yes.
glad to see you again, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.
Great, namaste.
Okay.
Glad to see you, Richard.
Nice
Bye,
to see you.
Doug.
Thank you.
See
Bye-bye.
ya.